friends! It has been a hot minute since I've done a Q&A, so I decided to do one. I went on my Instagram, which you should follow me on there if you don't already, and I asked you for your cues, and now I'm going to A them. Victoria Magierska had several questions. I'm gonna pick a couple of them. The first one she asked is easy. She said, do you know yet when you'll release a new song? And I do have one that's coming out on February 24th. It is called Trenches, and I am very excited for you guys to hear it. I was really hoping to be able to stick with my one song a month release schedule this year, but I think just with COVID and everything, honestly, it's probably really fortunate that I was able to do that last year. This year, it's not looking like it's gonna be as much of a possibility, but I promise I'm gonna be releasing as much music as I possibly can this year for you guys. She also wanted to know if I was going to plan on bringing back live concerts, because at the very beginning of the pandemic, I was doing like 2 Instagram lives a week where I was doing a short set of songs, and then I would go on YouTube and I'd do them. And I think, like everybody, I thought that like the whole quarantine pandemic thing was gonna be kind of short, and then we were gonna be able to get back to normal life. And obviously that hasn't happened. So I ended up getting a little bit burned out on doing the Instagram live concerts, but what my plan is for all of the months that I'm not gonna be able to release a new song this year, which hopefully won't be that many, I wanna plan something special. So one of the things I had an idea to do was to do a YouTube live stream that's just talking about songwriting. So you guys can ask me all of your songwriting questions, and we can just basically have a discussion about my songwriting process, and then probably some sort of live stream concert type thing. But if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, please leave them in the comments, because I would love your feedback on that. TinyStar33 wants to know, what's your favorite part of making a song? My favorite moment of making a song is when it's finished and I have the final version that I know is what you guys are going to hear, because there's just something really exhilarating about that moment when you've seen it all the way through. Like, I had my initial idea, I put all the puzzle pieces together with the writing process, brought it into the studio, and we figured out exactly what we were gonna do with the production. And there's just something so awesome about that moment where it's done and it turns out a lot of times better than I ever thought it would be, and I just love that moment. Rain 101 Cloud says, what single lyric are you the most proud of? I don't think I have an absolute like top lyric that I'm the most proud of, but I definitely have one from each song, if not multiple ones from each song that I am very proud of. My general philosophy is I want to have at least one standout lyric in every song that could be put on like a t-shirt or a sticker that's just like really memorable like that. So that's usually my goal for each song, but I don't know that I have like an absolute favorite one. Casey's Life Not Yours says, when you were a kid, did you ever imagine yourself having a career besides singing? I never imagined really having a career that involved singing. I think mostly I was maybe gonna be a teacher. I know I had a period of time where I was looking at being a piano teacher. I majored in public relations, so I just thought that I would work for some sort of, you know, PR company or doing some kind of marketing. It really wasn't until pretty long after I started putting music out on YouTube that I was like, oh, I have a career in this. That's pretty exciting. Captain Jack Simmons says, advice for a musician when it comes to finding their style. My biggest rule of thumb for myself is to just make music that I enjoy listening to. I've definitely had moments of doubt in the time that I've been doing this, of feeling insecure about not necessarily having the like mainstream sound, but ultimately I can look back and say I genuinely enjoy listening to my own music, not in like a really vain way, but just it's the type of stuff that I like. And to me, that's like the biggest fundamental thing, is that you need to actually enjoy the stuff that you're making. And I think that comes across to your audience when you put it out. Angel Chichi 88 says, have you ever been disappointed by a song not doing as well as you maybe would have expected? Absolutely. Not every song is going to catch as much as other ones. Sometimes I've had songs where I definitely had higher expectations on views or on streams, but the wonderful thing that I'm reminded of constantly is when people tell me what their favorite song is, and sometimes it's not the most popular song of mine. Sometimes it's one that I'm surprised that somebody even remembers, or I'm surprised that out of everything it would be their favorite. So then I have to just remind myself that a song doing well is not necessarily views and streams, it's how it connects with people. And even if it connects with fewer people, if it really means something to that smaller quantity of people, then that's great. It's a success. Alyssa Merrill says, what is your biggest pet peeve? I have so many pet peeves. I hate when people don't put their shopping cart back in the cart return and just leave it like in the middle of a parking spot. I hate it when people say supposedly instead of supposedly. I give my husband a hard time all the time for biting his nails because it drives me insane. I'm sure if I sat here for long enough, I could come up with 1,000 pet peeves. I am kind of a petty person. Erin Kate says, if you had to choose one book world to visit, which one would it be? Harry Potter, easily. Amruta Bastapur, and I'm so sorry if I'm butchering any of these names. I'm genuinely very sorry. At what age did you decide to pursue music and why? I honestly didn't make the decision to like fully commit to this until I was 30. I mean, I think I've made the decision in some capacity multiple times throughout the last almost 10 years that I've been doing this. I made the initial decision when my very first video started getting some traction to start putting out some of my original music. I made the decision a few years later to do, studio recordings for the first time, and then that led to making an album, which led to making more EPs and recording other songs. I feel like it's a decision I've made multiple times along the way, but really 2019 was when I decided to leave my job and do music full time. And as far as why, it's just something that I love to do, and it had become sustainable to be able to do that and make a living from that, which is all I could ever hope for. If you have the chance in life to get to do what you love, then do it. Samara Welty says, what is your most embarrassing moment? My most embarrassing moment is just something that you wouldn't actually believe could happen to a person in real life. Like it's like a sitcom. And I actually did a video where I talked about it, and I will link it in the description because I don't know that I can publicly rehash that more than one time, but definitely go check that out. It involves a pair of Spanx, an incident in a bathroom, and a microphone that hadn't gotten turned off during the intermission of a play that I was in. Bonita Whitethorn 013 says, what are some of your all-time favorite songs to listen to? I love Taylor Swift's 1989 album. One of my just formative senior year of high school, loved this album, was Futures by Jimmy Eat World. It's still one of my favorite albums to listen to. Paramore, I love Paramore. I go back and listen to Paramore all the time. A lot of the things that I still love listening to, I've been listening to for years and years and years at this point. Lit Salt Katakis says, what do you think of your fan family? You guys are amazing. You all are so kind, and you're very kind to one another, and I just feel very, very fortunate that the people that follow my music, you guys, are so wonderful. I feel like not everybody is that lucky when they put stuff on the internet, and I just couldn't be more grateful for you guys. Mayho Placencia 97. What's your favorite animal and what qualities do you admire of it? And I just have to go with classic dogs. Dogs are just so pure. They're just the purest creatures, and they just love you so much, and I just think they're so wonderful. The Lady of Nightmares says, what's the movie you turn to when you need comfort? It's not necessarily a movie, but I have several shows that I end up just doing comfort rewatches of, which apparently is a thing. I've seen on TikTok people talking about this, that it's I don't know, there's a whole psychological aspect to it, but I love going back and rewatching Parks and Recreation. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. 30 Rock is one that I'll go back and rewatch. I just love stuff that is feel good and makes me laugh and has really good character development. Red's Journal 3 says, what book are you currently reading? Will you write music about it? I don't think I ever go into reading a book specifically being I will write a song about this. It just kind of happens as I'm reading. Right now I'm kind of in between books. Mainly I'm just waiting for Chain of Iron to come out by Cassandra Clare. Bookagram says, what is your all-time favorite book or series? Harry Potter. I had multiple of you guys asking like, am I okay? Just like mentally, which is very nice for you to be concerned, I think. I'm good. I mean, I definitely have my moments where I'm just like, man, this is hard right now and I miss my family and I miss seeing my friends and like doing stuff. But I just, you know, keep telling myself that this is not permanent. It's gonna be all right. Book Dragon 2006. Can you play any other instruments besides piano? I have attempted to take violin lessons and I got frustrated and quit. And I attempted to learn how to play the guitar and I got frustrated and I quit. But don't be like me. Don't be a quitter. Francis Ann 5872. What's your Harry Potter house? I got sorted into Gryffindor, but I would say Gryffindor or Ravenclaw. Lucy the Jealous says, will you do a video on your 2020 releases like you did for your songs in 2018? I definitely forgot that that was a thing that I did. Let me look into it. Let me figure out if that's something feasible for me to do. Fiction Dweller says, what's the story behind Monster? It's interesting because I think a lot of people just assume that Monster is based on a book, but it is not. Monster is a song that I wrote when I was thinking about anger and tempers, because I'm somebody that, especially when I was younger, had a pretty bad temper, and that feeling of like almost something else taking over you and like it's not really you anymore. So I thought it would be interesting to write a song from the perspective of like anger and somebody's temper, almost as if they're having a conversation with the person. So yeah, that's the story with that one. Unknown Cost says, where do lyrics come from in the much sadder songs despite being married and seemingly happy? I am happy. I'm happily married. I think it's just accessing times when I wasn't happy. And I think I'm somebody that's very like empathetic. So it's not really hard for me to kind of put myself in that sadness of other people and kind of write coming from that. A lot of times I'll just create characters that I write from the perspective of, or that was a big motivation in doing book-based songs, was to kind of put myself into different characters' mindsets, but it's still being able to channel the feeling of, you know, sadness or hurt that I've actually experienced before. Raina Lockwood says, what is your vocal range? Smaller than the songs that I write. I have a running joke with Daniel, who's my producer, that I have to have at least one moment in every song that I'm really not capable of being able to sing, but that's just how I wrote it and that's how the song wants to be. And so, you know, I just struggle through it. I actually decided that I wanted to start taking voice lessons because I know that I have some bad habits from singing that I've had for a long time that I need to break, and just room for improvement. So I've been doing vocal lessons and that's been good. It's been humbling. Hopefully my vocal range will be improved after some training. Mel Plays 9000 says, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you like flamingos? 7.4. They're pretty, but they kind of smell bad. And I feel like that's a great place to end this. So thank you so much for checking out this Q&A. Thank you to everybody that sent in questions. Like I said earlier, if you have any ideas for live streams or stuff that you would want me to talk about in a video, please let me know. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.